Coming up on this week's episode of Hip Hop Now podcast, the Wu gets inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Afrika Bambaataa passes away. Are we canceling KRS One? And is 2026 a slow year for hip hop albums? Let's talk about it. Let's do it. Welcome to Hip Hop Now podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business. What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is Hip Hop Now podcast, a podcast specifically designed to keep you caught up on all things hip hop, music, and culture that happened throughout the week. Big shout out to the supporters that have been supporting this podcast through your ears in audio form for 10 years. This is the 10-year anniversary. If you've seen it, right? You see it in the background, you see the logo, you see it in the thumbnail, right? The gold logo is a commemorative piece for 10 years of Hip Hop Now podcast, and you can get some merch that is only going to be available this year, 2026. So follow the link in the description of this episode, and please know the merch proceeds from the merch go all right back into the production and promotion of this podcast. In general, support a brother in that way. It's cool. You know what I'm saying? And there's everything from t-shirts to hoodies, to stickers. So whatever way, appreciate those who have already supported. And this is what I really wanted to say. If you're going to support the podcast by buying merch, wait for the sales. I mean, it'd be from 35% off, 40% off to me, which brings like something like a t-shirt down to a reasonable price. I'm old school, so I'm not paying like $50 for no damn t-shirt. Not saying that's how much it costs, but you know what I mean. If the t-shirt is on sale and now it's $16, like to me, it's like, all right, that's cool. But when it's like 30, it's like, nah, dog, I'm sorry. I love your podcast, but no. Okay. Also, big shout out to those watching right here on YouTube, whether you got here via the shorts or special content that I produced or the weekly show like this. So big shout out to hiphopdx.com, Complex, and a couple of places where I'm getting some of my stories from. Let's get right into the business. So the Wu finally made it. They finally got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There was a moment there where they were kind of outside of making it. So they had like this online push, Ray, Ghost, Method Man, RZA, like everybody was on their social media platforms like, yo, go vote for the Wu. So they were able to get in. They were right outside. And I remember they were right outside, and probably the person with the lowest votes that they could surpass was Sade. And I'm not going to front. There was a part of me that was like, nah, I'm not trading Sade for the Wu or vice versa. Like, something got to happen. Now, I did vote. I voted for Sade and the Wu and Luther Vandross. I also voted for New Edition, who at the time when the Wu was making his campaign, the New Edition was right at the top. But they wound up not making it in, I believe. So it's kind of crazy. But I know we are hip hop. Well, let's just go real quick, just for those who are interested on who were actually inducted. So Sade, Luther Vandross, Oasis, Iron Maiden, Phil Collins, Billy Idol, and Joy Division, New Order also getting a nod. Damn, I didn't even see them on there. Now, and you know who was another top candidate? Pink, and then she fell out. So New Edition and Pink fell out of the top. If you're interested, those who I did vote for that got in: Sade, Luther Vandross. I voted for Iron Maiden. Yes, I listened to others. And Phil Collins and the Wu. So now Hip hop, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What does that mean? Do we care? A lot of questions regarding that. I'll say this because we've covered this recently when the nominations came out. I think it's an honor for hip hop in general. Honestly, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has become the music Hall of Fame, right? Because Luther is not rock, and neither is Sade or Phil Collins, right? Definitely not Wu-Tang, uh, Iron Maiden, right? They are. But I think it's become something else. I think it's the Music Hall of Fame. And for a group like Wu-Tang that's extremely popular and worldwide and all of that, it's just a way to celebrate them, celebrate these artists, regardless of genre. It's really like celebrating their impact on the music game. And so like when you think about Wu-Tang, you think about everything they've been through. Um, like their final tour that now has another tour. It's the television show, even though some of the members wasn't feeling it. Nevertheless, we thought it was good. Um, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I just get a little bit like, damn, we can't get an album. Like we didn't get an album when the TV show was going, and when like the final tour basically with Nas and all that was happening. I'm like, damn, we can't get an album. And now they're being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I don't think we'll ever get another Wu-Tang Clan album. And that sucks because I know we've technically got one like last year with Mathematics as the producer, and it was decent. But I kind of feel like that's not a Wu-Tang album. I'm talking about RZA on the boards, One Last Time, all the Wu members, affiliates, like just almost like this is the final album from the Wu, but it gotta be RZA behind the boards completely. I don't care if he go get help. I don't care if Mathematics is working or he did one or two tracks. Okay, cool. If that happens, but my preference, RZA did all of it. That's what I would want. Um, but I just don't think RZA's there headspace wise. Like I think RZA's not a producer, and if you checked out any of his interviews in recent years, in particular, well, I know he did Drink Champs, but the one he did with Rick Rubin, I thought was really good. And there's a moment in there where I just realized as a fan, I was like, RZA not going back. He ain't going back to no sound he did ever. He's not going back. He's not interested. He's not inspired by it. And that's a little disappointing and frustrating, right? It's the same frustration people have with Andre. Like, we know some people, especially in social media side of things, will have expectations for you to drop another classic and it to be the best album, better than all your albums, which is impossible. But then there are a lot of us who just want to see you continue to do the thing that you seem to love. Like, don't let criticisms, be it positive or negative, deter you from doing the thing you love. Like that's the main thing for me as a fan, you know. So like with RZA kind of feeling like Mathematics is kind of making those beats y'all want. And he is. But come on, man, I want the RZA on this joint. Or at least like just let Hit Boy do it. Just say, Hit Boy, we need some RZA style beats. Hit Boy will jump right in that bag and we'll be like, okay, this basically sounds like RZA. Mathematics doesn't really sound like RZA. It sounds like Wu, but I don't know. We can't at the same time I can't expect 36 Chambers and Wu-Tang forever. Like, we just can't. So that's that. Next. So recently, hip hop pioneer Afrika Bambaataa passed away. And we all know pedophile. hip hop pioneer, but pedophile. And not just pedophile, just all kinds of things, right? That are obviously negative, but I didn't do it. He did. Okay. Uh and that's and look, all right. So for those who don't know, I'll just rewind because they like, what? Pioneer, but pedophile, like double P? What? Hold up. So a few years back, probably like 10 years ago, uh, a bunch of victims came out who were underage at the time, underage boys at the time came out and accused him of SA. I'll just say. I shouldn't even said the other one, but I don't make money off this podcast. So uh like well, I'm not gonna say it anyway. I don't want them blocking my video. Like, man, I'm telling a story. Um, but very convincing, was gonna sue them, like all this stuff and all this information about him. And probably most telling was the fact that a lot of people knew at least that he was gay. Um, because I'm honestly like it wasn't just underage boys, it was just men in general, right? So it seemed like a lot of people knew that, but they wouldn't say anything about that. And I did an episode before about homophobia in hip hop. And there was a reason why nobody would say anything because, if there's homophobia within hip hop, especially back then, no way are you going to turn around and say this pioneer of the hip hop game is gay. It was just, that was just the way things were, right? Even though we know there's probably a couple of dudes who, even now, are gay, which is fine. But within the context of hip hop, that hip hop was homophobic. So it was kind of like, that's the last thing you need to be, right? But so all those stories came out and it was just like, oh, yeah, confirmed. We don't need a court case, really. This guy's this. And he didn't really say anything, until he got kicked out of the Zulu Nation, which was another sign, right? Which is weird, right? Because everybody knew. I'm pretty sure they knew. But now that it was, out in the public and, it just got to a point where Afrika Bambaataa was pushed down. I even did a whole episode on it because I started thinking about what KRS One said at the time. He seemed to defend Afrika Bambaataa, not because he had like some kind of, well, I don't know, but what I assume, not because he had some firsthand knowledge of whether he did these things or not. And I'm not talking about the being gay. I'm talking about being with underage boys, right? The whole defense of Afrika Bambaataa was he's a hip hop pioneer and he's great and blah, blah, blah. And he should be revered and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yo, are you tone deaf? Kids were abused as a result of this cat, right? So there was I'm not gonna lie to y'all, there was a while where I was like, I don't want to hear anything KRS One has to say. And then I kind of got off it later because he kind of backtracked a little bit and was a little bit more clear about his opinion. Because we can't like pretend as if Afrika Bambaataa wasn't a hip hop pioneer. He was. But that doesn't excuse his behavior. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't, right? Whatever his real name is, Larry Leroy the Third Green, whatever. He's the person who we're talking about when we speak negatively about him, right? So when KRS One was like, all right, my bad, but this is what I meant, we kind of went on about our business. But then Afrika Bambaataa passes away. And from every publication I could see, hip hop icon, forefather, pioneer, like these things happen, right? Planet Rock happened, right? It had the influence. The influence was there early on. So we all acknowledge that. But here comes KRS One again, defending, deflecting, ignoring the victims and Afrika Bambaataa's behavior. So I ask you, are we canceling KRS One? Because we cancel people for far less sometimes on social media. I don't cancel anybody because I do what I want, right? Not saying that I agree with them, but maybe I just don't mess with them anymore. And maybe that's what canceling is. I just don't go out of my way to be like, I own blah, 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 blah. Because the same could be said about KRS One. Whereas, again, the teacher is being ignorant in this regard. We also can't take away his contributions. We can't pretend that's not the blast master KRS One. But we can say we disagree with him when it comes to this situation, Afrika Bambaataa as a whole. We can't take what he did in hip hop and cover up all the bad stuff and say, look what he did. Because you know who else we could do that for? You know what I'm talking about. He's trying to get out of jail every day. And it's not Diddy. Okay? Like, we can look at his contributions to R&B. And they are massive. But are we just going to take that in itself and ignore everything he was doing? No, we didn't. They took him off the radio, all kinds of stuff. So same energy all around. I just feel like with KRS One, I strongly disagree with him, but I can't cancel him for a bad opinion. He didn't do it. Afrika Bambaataa did. So let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about this situation? How you feel about KRS One's stance, kind of putting Afrika Bambaataa's history with hip hop above his personal and now public exploits? Leave your comments in the comment section below. And lastly, so I saw a post on Twitter. You can follow me there and everywhere at Vegas World INC. From I think let me just get it right, y'all, before, because I don't want to misquote anybody. They will Vegas steal it. I'm really not. Steal what? Okay, you ain't me. But shout out to Fresh Out Hip Hop. I think that's the name. They basically had a quote from Pusha T, where Pusha T was saying the Clipse album, Let God Sort 'Em Out, is still the best album, even in best hip hop album, even in 2026. And for a minute, I had to think, like, all right, for me, it was definitely the best album for 2025. But is it the best for 2026? So y'all know I'll be reviewing albums and listening to albums. And I was like just going through my phone, like, yo, let me go back and see what dropped and see if I actually agree. And though there's some stuff here that, dropped on a lower level and all of that, as far as status. And then you had bigger releases like J. Cole's double album, Baby Keem's album that I keep on repeat, y'all. That's gonna be in my top 5 at the end of the year, unless something crazy happens and we just get all this dope hip hop and I'm caught. Like, Baby Keem Casino, I've been listening, y'all, like crazy. I'm not gonna lie, like all the time. But as I was going through the different albums, and there's some dope stuff in 2026. But then I kept going and I was like, nothing's better than the Clipse album. So I totally agree with Pusha T. The Clipse album as a complete package is still the best album since it dropped, which was summer of 2025, I believe. I think it was like July, something like that. A long time ago, almost coming up on a year. And why is that? Now, I think, I have some theories, right? Like, when the year starts out, it's always slow. It just is. But typically by now we'll have at least one or two joints that I know I would consider like, okay, this is like one of the best of the year. And I kind of said what I said about Baby King, but it's not even close to the Clipse, in my opinion, or at least for my taste. And even J. Cole, right? I thought J. Cole put out a solid double album. Probably would have been really good as just one album. But then also he did all these interviews and he kind of muddied the water and calling, pretending Drake's a victim. And like he just kind of keeps messing up. Okay. Like he's messing up. He don't make me want to go back and listen to his album at all. Even though I thought it was one of the better ones of the year. But better than the Clipse, Let God Sort Them Out? Man, no. We haven't had an album that polished lyrically, the way it's mastered, engineered, sonically, like everything. The quality of the voices, the quality of the music, the elements within the music, right? And then the precision on the lyrics by Malice and Pusha T, right? From delivery to wordplay to just crazy bars, right? Stuff the Blizzard and a Honda Civic, like just memorable lines. There just isn't a project available right now or album available right now that's touching that. Just isn't. Which is crazy when you think about it, because there's been some really good albums, right? Like Jid put out a really good album, like a couple of people did. So in general, I agree. What do you, well, let me just say this one thing. One album, and I'm not saying this would have been better, but as far as like highly anticipated, sounding like it could be crazy, was Stove God Cook's album that was supposed to drop that has been pushed back indefinitely. So we at least would have had that by now, but we don't. So here we are, 2026. It's feeling like a slow year because we've already cleared the first quarter and we're making our way through to the second quarter, which would be half the year. And usually in June, everybody does their best of the year so far. I'm assuming we're going to get some heat, but will it be better than the Clipse last album? You tell me in the comment section below. Do you feel like the Clipse album is still the best album, even in 2026? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Follow me on social media at Vegas World INC. Subscribe to the podcast, whether that be in audio form, from which you can find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcast listening. Don't forget on Apple to review the podcast. Helps a brother out. And also, if you like this content, subscribe to this channel for more. Hit the like button, it helps out. Hype the video, that helps out as well. I don't know how, but do it anyway, okay? Commenting helps out as well. But most importantly, sharing it with people you know would enjoy this kind of content spreads the word and gets the subscriber count up, which the goal is 50K. We're not campaigning like crazy. We just moving steady, and we're right around the corner from 40K. So until next time, y'all, I'm not a critic. I'm a fan. Peace.